I was sitting in my quiet apartment when the phone rang at 2 in the morning. Unknown number. I almost let it go to voicemail, but something made me answer. Her voice came through broken and desperate. It was Angela. She was crying so hard she could barely get the words out. 6 months ago, she told me our marriage was over. Said the other man was everything I was not: spontaneous, wealthy, exciting. Now she was calling from a stranger's phone because hers had been shut off. The money was gone. He was gone. And she wanted to come home. Before I tell you what happened next, I would love to know where you are watching from. Drop your city in the comments below, hit that like button, and subscribe if you want to hear how this whole mess unfolded. Because trust me, you will not believe how we got here. My name is Lance. I am an electrician, have been for about 10 years now. Steady work, solid income. Nothing flashy, but enough to build a life on. I met Angela 7 years ago at a community barbecue in Northeast Portland. She was laughing with a group of friends holding a plate of potato salad, and when our eyes met, something just clicked. Our courtship was not some whirlwind romance you see in movies. It was simple, genuine. We would grab coffee on Sunday mornings, take walks along the waterfront, talk about everything and nothing. We got married 4 years ago in a small ceremony at a vineyard outside the city. Maybe 50 people total. Her best friend was maid of honor. My brother stood up as best man. We bought a modest house in a quiet neighborhood with a front porch and a backyard big enough for a garden Angela wanted to start. Life settled into a rhythm. I would wake up at 5:30, head to job sites, come home by 4. She worked at a small advertising agency downtown, nothing major, but she liked the creative work. Our evenings were predictable in the best way. Dinner together at the kitchen table, her telling me about some campaign she was working on, me talking about rewiring some old house in Selwood. We would watch movies on Friday nights. She always fell asleep on my shoulder around the third act. Saturday mornings, I would bring home bagels and cream cheese from the place on Hawthorne she loved. Sundays, we would hike Forest Park or drive out to the coast if the weather was good. I thought predictable meant secure. I thought routine meant we had built something solid. I remember one specific night about 2 years into our marriage. I came home with Thai takeout, her favorite pad CEW, from the spot near my work. She laughed that real, genuine laugh and said I knew her too well. We ate on the couch, her feet tucked under my legs, some cooking show playing in the background. I felt completely content. I thought she did too. About a year ago, things started changing. Small stuff at first. Angela joined a new gym, one of those boutique places with the cycling classes and juice bar. She started dressing differently for work, more polished, more expensive-looking clothes. She got a new position at a bigger marketing firm. Downtown said it was a great opportunity for advancement. I was proud of her, encouraged her. But she started coming home later. 7 turned into 8, 8 turned into 9, always with explanations. Networking event, drinks with the team, working late on a pitch. I trusted her completely, so I did not question it. Why would I? We had built a marriage on honesty, or so I believed. She became distant in ways I could not quite name, less affectionate, more time on her phone, turning the screen away when I walked by. When I would reach for her hand while watching television, she would hold it for a minute, then find a reason to get up. I asked her several times if everything was okay. She would say she was stressed about work, adjusting to the new job, the new responsibilities. I believed her. I started picking up extra shifts, doing side work on weekends. I wanted to save up for a vacation, maybe Hawaii or Mexico, something to help us reconnect. I thought if I could just give her a break from the stress, we would find our way back to those easy evenings on the couch. Then came the moment I should have seen as a warning. Our anniversary, 4 years. I left work early, stopped at the flower shop on Stark, picked up 24 roses. Pink ones, her favorite. I got home around 3 in the afternoon, expecting to surprise her, since she had been coming home earlier on Thursdays. I walked in and heard her voice from the bedroom. She was on the phone laughing in a way I had not heard in months. Free, unguarded, genuinely delighted. I stood in the hallway holding those roses, listening to her talk to whoever was on the other end. I could not make out the words, but the tone was unmistakable. Flirtatious. Excited. When I walked into the bedroom, she ended the call quickly. "Just a coworker," she said. I held out the flowers. She looked at them like they were an inconvenience. Said they were too much. She had plans that evening, a work dinner she had forgotten to mention. She left 20 minutes later in a black dress I had never seen before. I put the roses in a vase and sat alone in our living room until midnight. 3 weeks later, Angela asked me to sit down. It was a Saturday morning. I had just gotten back from grabbing coffee. She was waiting at the kitchen table, hands folded in front of her face, set in this expression I did not recognize. Cold. Determined. She said she had been seeing someone else. His name was Derek, a senior executive at her company. She had been with him for 4 months. I felt the floor drop out from under me, but I did not move, did not yell. I just sat there, coffee getting cold in my hand, waiting for her to continue. She said Derek made her feel alive again, that our marriage had become stale, that I was a good man, but boring. Then she said the thing that really cut Derek is everything you are not. She listed his qualities like she was reading off a resume. He drove a Mercedes S-Class, traveled internationally for work, Hong Kong, London, Dubai, owned a condo downtown with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the river, took her to restaurants where dinner cost $300, made her feel seen, valued, exciting. I asked if we could try counseling. She said no. Her mind was made up. She was moving out that weekend in with Derek. I asked about the house, our savings account, the life we had built. She said she wanted her half of everything. It was only fair. I nodded. I did not argue. What was the point? I could not eat for 3 days. Could not sleep. I went to work and moved through the motions like I was underwater. My hands would wire outlets, connect breakers, but my mind was somewhere else, replaying every conversation, every moment, trying to figure out where I had failed her. My foreman, a guy named Rick, pulled me aside on day 4, told me I looked like hell and needed to take some time. I told him I was fine. He did not believe me, but let me keep working. Angela moved out within 72 hours. She took half the furniture, her clothes, personal items, kitchen stuff, she said she had brought into the marriage. Left behind our wedding album face down on the kitchen counter. I picked it up, once looked at a photo of us cutting the cake, her smiling up at me with frosting on her nose. Then I put it in a box in the closet and did not look at it again. We had to sell the house. The market was decent. We got a fair price, split the proceeds down the middle. I moved into a 1-bedroom apartment in Beaverton, about 20 minutes from work. Small, quiet, nothing like the home we had built. My friends, the few I had told about the divorce, said I had dodged a bullet, that I was better off, that she would regret it. But it did not feel that way. I had genuinely loved her, thought we were building toward something. A family, maybe. Growing old together. My mother started calling every Sunday. She lived down in Eugene, could not come up often because of her arthritis, but she worried. I told her I was fine, eating okay, sleeping okay, working. She did not believe me either, but she did not push. Just told me she loved me, and to call if I needed anything. 2 months after the divorce was finalized, I forced myself to start living again. A guy from work, Travis, invited me to a weekly poker night at his place. 5 or 6 guys, low stakes, mostly an excuse to drink beer and talk. I almost said no, but something made me go. Travis was divorced too, about 3 years out from his own mess. He understood the particular kind of loneliness that comes after a marriage ends. We started grabbing beers after shifts, talking about work, sports, the Blazers' terrible season, anything but relationships. I threw myself into my job harder than before. Picked up every side gig I could find. Residential electrical repairs on weekends, rewiring old houses in southeast Portland, fixing faulty panels, installing new fixtures. The physical work helped. Crawling through hot attics, running wire through walls, solving tangible problems with clear solutions. I started saving money again, but this time just for myself. No shared account, no joint goals. Just my name on the bank statement. One Saturday, I walked into a motorcycle dealership on Southeast Powell. I had always wanted a bike, but Angela thought they were too dangerous. Said she would worry every time I rode. So I had let it go. But now there was no one to worry, no one to answer to. I bought a used Yamaha Nothing Fancy black with chrome details. The salesman walked me through the basics, even though I had my license from years back. The first time I rode it, I took Highway 26 out toward the coast. It was early October, the air cold and sharp. I remember the wind against my face, the way the bike responded to every shift of my weight, the complete presence it demanded. For the first time in months, I felt like myself. Not Angela's ex-husband. Not the guy who got left. Just Lance riding a motorcycle through the mountains on a clear fall morning. Through mutual friends, I started hearing updates about Angela's new life. She and Derek were living together in his downtown condo, tower 12 blocks from my old office. They were posting photos online, though I had not looked myself. Friends would mention it casually. Saw Angela at some restaurant in the Pearl. Saw her and Derek at Saturday market. She looked happy, they would say, then catch themselves apologize for bringing it up. A coworker's wife saw them at a charity gala at the art museum. Told me Angela was wearing a long emerald dress, diamond earrings that caught the light. Derek had his arm around her waist, looked every bit the successful executive in a custom suit. They were laughing, drinking champagne, completely absorbed in each other. I felt the familiar sting hearing about it, but also something else. A growing numbness. Distance. Like hearing about characters in a story that had nothing to do with me. I blocked Angela on every platform I could think of. Asked friends to stop mentioning her. I needed to move forward, and I could not do that while keeping tabs on her new life. It worked mostly. The updates became less frequent. I stopped wondering what she was doing, who she was with, whether she ever thought about me. I started seeing a therapist. Dr. Patterson, a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and a no-nonsense approach. She worked out of a small office in Hillsborough. 50-minute sessions every Tuesday evening. At first I did not know what to say. Felt stupid sitting there talking about my feelings. But she asked good questions. Made me think about patterns I had not noticed. Helped me understand that I had built my entire identity around being a husband. A provider. Angela's partner. Now I needed to figure out who Lance was on his own. About 4 months after Angela left, I ran into her sister Jenna at a New Seasons in Orenco. I was grabbing groceries after work, still in my work boots and dusty jeans. Jenna was in the produce section, clearly trying to avoid me. I saw her see me, watched her face shift. Then she turned toward the apples like she had not noticed. I walked over anyway. Asked how she was doing. She looked uncomfortable. Said she was fine. Her kids were good. Husband was good. I nodded, started to walk away. Then she stopped me. Said I probably should not tell you this, but Angela is not doing great. I waited. Jenna looked around like someone might overhear. Apparently Derek had been pressuring Angela to quit her job. Said he made enough money for both of them, wanted her available for his business dinners, his social obligations, his schedule. Angela had resisted at first, but eventually gave in about a month ago. Jenna seemed genuinely worried, but did not elaborate. Just said Angela seemed different, quieter, less like herself. I thanked her for telling me, said I hoped things worked out, and walked away. I did not let it affect me. Whatever was happening in Angela's life was not my responsibility anymore. I had moved on, or at least I was getting there. By month 5, I had established a real routine. Wake up, work gym 3 times a week, poker on Thursdays, motorcycle rides on Sundays. I started dating casually. Nothing serious. Met a woman named Sarah at a coffee shop in downtown Beaverton. She was a dental hygienist, smart, easy to talk to. We went out a few times. Dinner at a Thai place she liked, a movie, a walk through Jenkins Estate. She was kind, patient, did not push for anything I was not ready to give. I was honest with her from the start. Told her I was recently divorced, still figuring things out. She appreciated that. Said she had been through her own breakup a year back, understood needing time. We stayed friends. She would text occasionally, send me funny memes about awkward patient interactions. It was light, easy, no pressure. My apartment became my sanctuary. I kept it simple, organized. Couch television, small kitchen table, bed dresser, one photo on the nightstand of me and my brother at Crater Lake from 2 summers ago. I would cook meals I actually liked. Steaks on the little grill on my balcony. Pasta with too much garlic. Breakfast burritos on Saturday mornings. I watched whatever I wanted. Went to bed when I was tired. Got up when I felt like it on weekends. For the first time in years, I felt a quiet kind of peace. Not happiness exactly, but contentment. Stability. A sense that I was okay on my own. 6 months after Angela walked out, my phone rang at 2 a.m. I woke up disoriented, grabbed it off the nightstand. Unknown number. Portland area code, but not one I recognized. I almost sent it to voicemail, but something made me answer. Her voice came through immediately, crying, gasping, barely coherent. "Lance, I need help. Please. I made a terrible mistake." I sat up in bed, fully awake now. It was Angela, but she sounded destroyed, broken in a way I had never heard. She said she was calling from someone else's phone because hers had been shut off, that Derek had left her, kicked her out of the condo with nothing but a suitcase and the clothes on her back. She had no money, nowhere to go. Her voice cracked and she begged me to just listen, to please not hang up. My first reaction was anger, pure hot anger. I said, "Where is all that excitement now, Angela? Where is everything I was not?" She sobbed harder, could not even form words. I hung up. My hands were shaking, heart pounding. All the pain I had carefully buried, all the work I had done to move past this, came rushing back in one crushing wave. I sat there in the dark for over an hour, staring at the wall, trying to process what had just happened. She called again the next afternoon, different number. I saw it was a Portland number I did not know and almost let it go. But I answered. Told her she had 5 minutes. Her voice was steadier this time, but still fragile. She said she needed to explain everything, that I deserved to know the truth. I did not say anything, just waited. She told me Derek had been controlling from the very beginning. Once she moved in with him, he started monitoring everything. Her phone, her schedule, who she talked to. He made her install an app that shared her location at all times. Said it was for safety, but used it to question where she had been if she took too long at the store. He went through her messages, got angry if she talked to old friends, said they were not the kind of people who fit their lifestyle. When he pressured her to quit her job, she thought it was because he wanted to take care of her. But really, it was about control. With no job, she had no income, no independence. She became completely dependent on him financially. He would give her an allowance for groceries, personal items. She had to ask permission to buy anything beyond that. Justify every purchase. He isolated her from everyone. Her friends from the old job stopped calling after she never had time to meet up. Jenna tried to stay in touch, but Derek made it difficult. Would schedule things during family dinners. Get upset if Angela chose her sister over his business events. Slowly, Angela found herself alone, with only Derek. The trips, the restaurants, the gifts, all of it was on credit cards she did not know about. Derek had been living far beyond his means for years. The condo was not paid off. It was barely making minimum payments. The Mercedes was leased. The expensive meals were racking up debt. He hid it well, kept up appearances, but it was all a facade. 3 weeks ago, his company fired him. Angela did not know the details at first. Derek would not talk about it. Just started drinking more, staying out late, coming home angry. Then she found out through a news article someone sent her. He had been embezzling company funds, small amounts at first, then larger, funneling money into personal accounts. The company discovered it during an audit, fired him immediately, pressed charges. Suddenly, the money dried up. The credit cards were maxed out. Collections agencies started calling. The building management posted an eviction notice on the door. Derek spiraled. Blamed Angela for everything. Said she had distracted him. That he had been fine before her. That she ruined his focus, his career, his life. He started yelling at her over nothing. A dish left in the sink. Dinner not ready when he got home. One night he came home drunk. Told her to pack her things and get out. She thought he was just angry that he would calm down. But he meant it. When she tried to take some of her belongings' clothes, she had bought a few personal items he threatened to call the police. Said everything in the condo was his. That she had no claim to anything. She left with one suitcase, her purse, and the clothes she was wearing. Her bank account was empty. Derek had convinced her months ago to close her personal account and put her half of the divorce settlement into what he called a joint investment, something that would grow their wealth together. She found out it was just his personal account. He had spent all of it. Every dollar she had gotten from selling our house, her savings, everything. She had been sleeping on a couch at an old college friend's apartment for 2 weeks. The friend, someone named Lauren, had been patient at first, but was starting to make comments about how long Angela was staying, about needing her space back. Angela had no job, no references since she quit months ago, no money for rent anywhere. She had applied to a dozen places, but had not heard back from any of them. Her voice broke as she finished the story. She said she knew she did not deserve help, that she had made every wrong choice possible, but she had no one else to call. Her parents had died in a car accident 5 years ago, before we met. She was an only child, except for Jenna, who had 3 kids and a small house with no extra room. She had burned every other bridge. I was the last person she could think of. After that call, I sat in my apartment for hours, just sat there on the couch staring at nothing. Part of me felt vindicated. She chose this. She wanted excitement, wanted someone who was not me. Now she got to live with the consequences. That part of me wanted to say no, to hang up and never answer again, to let her figure it out on her own, the way I had to figure out life alone after she left. But there was another part, the part that had loved her for 7 years, the part that remembered the woman who laughed over Thai food on our couch, who fell asleep on my shoulder during movies, who planted tomatoes in our backyard and got excited when they actually grew. That part felt something I did not want to name. Not love. Not even sympathy exactly. Just a recognition that she was a human being in pain. And I had the ability to help or not help. I called Travis. Met him at a bar in Hillsborough. Told him everything. He listened, drank his beer, then looked at me dead serious. Do not you dare take her back, Lance. She made her bed. Now she gets to lie in it. I nodded. I knew he was right. I was not taking her back. That door was closed. But the question was whether I would help her at all. The calls kept coming over the next week. Every few days. Different numbers. Sometimes she would beg. Sometimes she would just cry. Sometimes she would apologize over and over. Say she knew what she did was unforgivable. That I deserved so much better. That she had been selfish and stupid and blind. I did not answer most of them. Let them go to voicemail. Listen to the messages later. Her voice small and desperate. One evening, about a week after that second call, I got home from work around 6. I parked my truck in the lot behind my building, grabbed my tool bag from the bed, headed toward the entrance. And there she was, standing on the sidewalk near the door. She looked like a different person. Thinner, like she had not been eating. Dark circles under her eyes. Wearing jeans that were too big and a sweater that had seen better days. Her hair, which she used to spend an hour styling every morning, was pulled back in a messy ponytail. She did not move toward me. Did not ask to come inside. Just stood there, hands shoved in her pockets, looking at the ground. Then she looked up and said, I do not expect forgiveness, Lance. I do not expect anything. I just wanted to say, I am sorry. For all of it. You deserve better than what I gave you. You deserved honesty and loyalty, and I gave you neither. I am sorry. Then she turned to walk away. I watched her take a few steps, shoulders hunched against the cold. Something shifted in me right then. Not love, not reconciliation, but a clear understanding that holding on to anger was only hurting me, that I could help her without letting her back into my life, that I could choose to act with integrity regardless of how she had acted. I called out Angela, wait. The next day I met her at a coffee shop in Beaverton. Neutral ground. Public. I got there first, ordered a black coffee, sat at a table near the window. She walked in 10 minutes later, ordered nothing, sat down across from me. I did not waste time. I said, I am not taking you back. That part of our life is over. Do you understand that? Her face fell, but she nodded quickly. Said she understood, that she was not asking for that. I continued, but I am not going to watch you spiral either. I will help you get back on your feet. But there are conditions. You agree to all of them, or we are done here. She nodded again. Said anything. Whatever you think is fair. I laid it out. I would lend her money for first month's rent and a security deposit on a studio apartment. Somewhere cheap, but safe. She would have to find a job within 2 weeks. Any job. Fast food retail cleaning, it did not matter. But she had to be employed. She would pay me back every dollar on a payment plan we would agree to in writing. $50 every 2 weeks until it was paid off in full. No exceptions. No more phone calls in the middle of the night. No more showing up at my apartment unannounced. If she needed to contact me, it would be through text messages and only about the repayment or absolute emergencies. We were not friends. We were not rebuilding anything. This was me helping another human being get to a place where they could help themselves. After that, we would have no contact. She agreed to everything. Tears were streaming down her face, but she kept nodding. Said thank you over and over. Over the next 3 weeks, I helped her find a studio apartment in Aloha. Small place, maybe 400 square feet, but clean and safe. The landlord was an older guy who owned a few properties, ran background checks, but was willing to work with people who had hit hard times. I paid first month and deposit $2,000 total. Got a signed agreement from Angela outlining the repayment terms. $50 every 2 weeks. 4 years to pay it off completely. She got a job within 10 days. Receptionist at a dental office in Tannisbourne. Answered phones, scheduled appointments, filed insurance claims. It was not glamorous, but it was stable. 40 hours a week, benefits after 90 days. She started immediately. I got a text from her that first day. Just said, started today. Thank you. I replied, good. Stick with it. She paid me back like clockwork. $50 appeared in my account every other Friday. Not much, but she was consistent. We communicated only through brief text messages. Payment sent. Received. Once she asked if she could pay an extra $20 1 week because she had picked up overtime. I said yes. The money itself did not matter to me. It was about her taking responsibility, proving to herself she could follow through. I kept my distance emotionally, did not ask about her life, did not offer advice beyond what was necessary. When she texted asking if I knew any good places to buy used furniture, I sent her a link to a thrift store and nothing else. When she said she was sick and might be late on a payment, I said, let me know when you can pay. She paid on time anyway. Months passed. I noticed through the few interactions we had that she seemed healthier. One time I ran into her at a grocery store near her place. I was visiting a job site in the area, stopped to grab a sandwich. She was in the produce section. We made eye contact. She gave a small wave. I nodded back. She looked better. Color in her face. Hair clean and styled simply. She was with another woman laughing about something. It occurred to me she was rebuilding, making friends, standing on her own feet. I left without saying anything. The call stopped completely. The desperate texts faded away. Our only communication was her payment notifications and my confirmations. By month 8, she had paid back almost $2,000. She never asked for more than I had offered, never tried to blur the boundaries I had set. Slowly, the sharp edges of what had happened began to smooth out. Not forgotten. Not forgiven in the way people think of forgiveness, but released. About 11 months after that first late-night call, I was sitting on my apartment balcony on a Sunday evening. I had spent the day riding my motorcycle out to Silver Falls, hiked a few of the trails, grabbed dinner at a small diner on the way back. It was late September, the air just starting to turn cold. I had a beer in my hand, watching the sunset turn the sky orange and pink. I thought about everything that had happened. The marriage, the betrayal, the phone calls, the anger, the decision to help, all of it. I realized somewhere along the way I had been holding on to an idea of who Angela was not the reality. I had loved a version of her that maybe never fully existed. Or maybe she had existed once and changed. People do that. They grow, they shift, they make choices that take them away from who they were. Helping her had not been about her. Not really. It had been about me. About proving to myself that I could act with integrity, even when it was hard. That I could be kind without being a doormat. That I could set boundaries and stick to them. That I could choose my own values regardless of how someone else had treated me. I did not help her because I wanted her back. I helped her because it was the right thing to do for the person I wanted to be. I thought about the life I had built in the past year, the job I was good at, the friends I had made, Travis and the poker crew, Sarah, who I had started seeing more seriously in the past few months. She knew my whole story, every messy detail, and chose to be with me anyway. She appreciated the things Angela had called boring. My reliability, my honesty, the fact that I showed up when I said I would, that I kept my promises, that I was steady. We had gone hiking the previous weekend up at Multnomah Falls. Afterward, we grabbed lunch at a little pub in Troutdale. She told me she admired how I had handled everything with Angela, said it showed character. I did not know what to say to that, just said I did what felt right. She reached across the table, took my hand, and said, "That is exactly what I mean." I realized, sitting there on my balcony, that being boring was not a flaw. Stability, reliability, consistency. These were not weaknesses, they were strengths. The right person would see that, would value it. Angela had wanted fireworks and excitement. She got it. And it burned her. I wanted something real. Something built on trust and mutual respect. Something that could weather storms because it had a solid foundation. My phone buzzed. A text from Angela. Final payment sent. Thank you for everything, Lance. I truly hope you are well. I looked at it for a long moment. Opened my banking app. Confirmed the deposit. $50. I did the math. She had paid me back in full. $2,000 over 11 months. Every payment on time. I texted back. Received. You are welcome. Take care of yourself. Then I deleted her number. Not out of anger, not out of bitterness, but because that chapter was closed. She did not need me anymore. I did not need her. We had both moved forward. I hoped she would build a good life for herself. I genuinely did, but it would not be a life I was part of. I never heard from Angela again after that night. I did not need to. I had learned everything I needed to learn from what happened. You cannot make someone value what they do not appreciate. You cannot force someone to see your worth if they are looking for something else. And sometimes the greatest revenge is not revenge at all. It is living well, acting with integrity, knowing your worth regardless of whether anyone else recognizes it. I finished my beer, stood up, stretched. The sun had set completely now, the sky dark, except for the first few stars. I headed inside, thought about calling Sarah, see if she wanted to grab dinner sometime this week. Maybe that new Italian place she had mentioned. I smiled. Not because of what I had lost, but because of what I had found. Myself, my own strength, my own values, my own path forward. And that I realized as I locked the door behind me and settled onto my couch was worth more than any relationship built on borrowed excitement could ever be. I was okay, more than okay. I was good. I was building a life I was proud of. And for the first time in a long time, I felt genuinely at peace. So what would you have done in my situation? Would you have helped or walked away? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more real-life stories. Share this with someone who needs to hear that it is okay to choose your own integrity, even when someone else did not choose you. Thank you for listening. I hope you find your own peace, whatever that looks like. Take care.